The Big Race. One race, many stories. By Typical Dad. This book is dedicated to my 3 children and their different shades of beautiful. I love you, Dad. Introduction. When I was a little boy, my brother's high school only had white kids and white teachers. Another school on the other side of town only had black kids and black teachers. But one day, all that changed. The 2 schools were desegregated. That means that some of the black kids started coming to my brother's school, and some of his friends started going to the black school. Now, my brother was a really good football player, and we found out that one of the black coaches was coming to his school to take over the football team. My father, who was a good and decent man, and also a big shot in town, invited the black coach to our home to talk about my brother. The coach stood on our front porch, hesitant to come inside. He said, "Sir, I've never been in the front door of a white man's house before." My father said, "Well, you're about to, because that's the only way you're coming in my house." I didn't understand this at the time. It wasn't until I was older, with children of my own, adopted children with different shades of beautiful, that I realized how important this incident was and how important it is to pass this idea on to the next generation. That's you. But we can't start in South Carolina in the 1970s. We have to go back a bit further. Once upon a time, we were just people. A long, long time ago, before phones, milkshakes, or even shoes that light up, people lived in small groups, hunted animals, told stories by firelight, and looked up at the stars. Some had very dark skin, some had a little bit lighter skin, some spoke in clicking sounds, some played the drums. But here's the thing, nobody cared about race. They cared about whether you shared food, knew how to make fire, or could outrun a bear. The Great Human Road Trip. All humans started out in the same place, Africa. That's our original home, yours, mine, everybody's. But then some people started walking, north into Europe, east into Asia, over land bridges into the Americas. And while they walked, something cool happened. Built-in sunglasses and solar panels. Now in Africa, the sun was so strong that people had lots of something called melanin, the natural stuff in your skin that makes it brown and protects you like sunscreen. But as humans moved to places where the sun wasn't as strong, their skin slowly got lighter. Why? To let more sunlight in, like solar panels, but for making vitamin D, which helps bones grow. So really, skin color is just your body's way of dealing with the sun. That's it. No magic, no meaning, just biology doing its thing. The people who put us in boxes. Thousands of years later, some scientists had a big idea. Let's try to understand humans by studying their bodies, like we do with plants and animals. It was a good idea. They looked at skin color, skulls, noses, and hairstyles. They made charts, they made categories, and they gave people labels like Caucasoid, Negroid, and Mongoloid. Most weren't trying to be mean. They just didn't know what we know now. And they got a lot of stuff wrong. When labels got dangerous, some people started using those labels as excuses to treat others badly. They said, this race is better and that race is dumb. They used the fake science to justify slavery, segregation, and stealing land. That's how race went from a weird idea to a weapon, and it hurt a lot of people. It still does. But science fought back. Real scientists started asking better questions like, wait, is race even real? And guess what they found? There's only one race. the human race. All humans are 99.9% the same on the inside. That other 0.1%, it just explains little stuff like freckles, hair curls, and whether you hate broccoli. Skin color? That's just your body's sun plan. We all come from the same ancestors. We're cousins with different paint jobs. Race is still around, but it's confused. Even though science says we're all one race, the old labels never really disappeared. People still argue on the news about it, on social media, in schools, in jokes, even in milkshake names. Sometimes race is used to bring people together. Sometimes it's used to push people apart. And sometimes it's just confusing. What's real is what we share. So, what's real? That everyone has melanin, just different amounts. That your skin says more about your ancestors' weather than your worth. That you are not a label, not a box, not a race. You're a whole human made of stardust, stories, and about 30 trillion cells. And just like fingerprints, there's only one you. So whether someone calls you black, white, mixed, or something else, you're not half of anything. You're 100% you. Your generation can get it right. The people who came before made a mess of race. Some meant well, some didn't. But your generation, you've got science, humor, and heart. You've got memes and milkshakes. You can laugh, learn, and lead at the same time. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be the ones who finally say, we're all just people with different paint jobs. A message from Dad. I want you to hear this from me, and I mean it with all my heart. Every kid is beautiful, every shade, every curl, every smile. But kids like you, who carry more than one culture, more than one history, you shine with something really special. You remind the world that we're better when we come together. If your parents' and grandparents' generations gave the world anything great, it's this: more kids who prove that love doesn't have to match. It just has to grow. For curious minds, where did race labels come from? About 250 years ago, a German scientist named Johann Friedrich Blumenbach tried to study how people look different around the world. He didn't have microscopes, DNA, or global travel like we do today. So he made some guesses. Some that sounded smart at the time, but turned out just to be wrong. Blumenbach grouped people into categories like Caucasian, Mongoloid, Negroid. These weren't based on real science. They were guesses based mostly on skin color and skull shape. But here's the most important part. Some people took those labels and used them to do harm. They used them to say one group was better than another. They used them to take land, control people, and even justify slavery. That's not science. That's injustice. But what about today? Now we have tools like DNA that prove all humans belong to one race. We know skin color comes from sunlight, not worth. So why does race still feel like such a big deal? Because some people still use race to stir people up for power, for profit, or for attention. And social media can make it louder, angrier, and harder to ignore. It's confusing because it feels like we should be past all this by now. But here's a final thought. Just remember, we didn't start in boxes. We don't belong in boxes. We don't have to stay in them. One race, many stories.